All right, we are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another session of the Masculine Mind podcast, where we focus on male masculinity, self improvement, and purpose. Welcome to a beautiful day. Tonight, you guys already know every single Thursday night we have the Masculine Mind podcast. My name is Will. I'm the host of this show, number one Polynesian podcast in the world. I'm your top toko. And of course, it's a beautiful Thursday night, live out of San Francisco. And we have a great topic to discuss. I have a great topic to discuss for tonight. There'll be no panel for tonight, just me going solo dolo for tonight. And I just want to discuss a topic that I often talk about regarding the red pill community. So get your popcorn ready. And of course, to all the Kava drinkers out there, cheers. And let's get it.
What are we arguing about?
A man is gonna do what a man wants to do.
All on your wrist. Make you my wife, you no longer my bitch.
Let's get it. My name is Will. I'm the host of this show, the number one Polynesian podcast in the world.
Dripping in Versace. All these other hoes trying to copy.
Women tend to bounce around in relationships. They can't stick and stay in a long-term relationship.
Again, don't agree with this. Just
So let's say, are you still in it? Are you still in it?
no. So you're basically saying I'm a whore.
This content is not suitable for the children under the age of 18 without adult supervision. Please be advised.
So I just wanted to take the time and make this video to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Must be you. Love all the freaky things you do. My love was way overdue. That's when you came out the blue.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Gov Club Podcast, to the Mastermind Podcast on Thursday night, live out of San Francisco, where we focus on male masculinity, self-improvement, and purpose. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys are watching this, guys, right now, as always, thank you so much for watching to the live stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, if you're watching this right now, show some love in the live chat. Let's get the live chat popping. Let me know what you guys think about tonight's topic. This is going to be an important topic to discuss. I see, okay, I see you already. Tater Dom already on the live chat. Thank you so much, Tater Dom. Appreciate your support. But as always, this is a public show. So you're watching this right now. Obviously, you guys can see there's a lot of room on the panel. It's going to be me for tonight just talking about this topic. And of course, the link is already posted on the YouTube live chat. So if you're watching this from Facebook, if you're watching this from Twitch or Twitter, you have to come to YouTube. And I'm always open to have people come on as a public guest, whether you agree or disagree. Always like to hear from different perspectives and different opinions, and especially and have a good debate. I like to debate people, especially people who have an opposing view or a different ideology. I definitely want to have a conversation with those types of people. So I always like a good debate, a good challenge. But of course, if you got something to say, something to add on to tonight's topic, then definitely just let me know in the live chat or jump on as a public guest. As always appreciate you guys. You guys already know on the Mastermind Thursdays, we always talk about male masculinity, self-improvement, and purpose. So for tonight, I'm going to talk about the red pill community. So I think if you are on the online space, especially on YouTube, you should be kind of familiar with the red pill. All right. So if you're not aware of the red pill, if you're not aware of it, if you've never heard of it, tonight will be a great introduction to you of what the red pill community is. But I saw a video. Going on YouTube. So let me play that video real quick because it was an interview with Rollo Tomasi. So if you guys don't know who Rollo Tomasi is, he's a prominent person in the YouTube space, especially the manosphere and the red pill. A lot of people, especially a lot of men in the red pill community, recognize him as the godfather of the red pill. So to me, the red pill is just a place, let me play the video and then I'll give you guys my reaction, my thoughts about what the red pill is. So let me play this video. And of course, if you're watching this right now, let me know what you guys think about tonight's topic. And of course, let me know what you guys think about the red pill. If you guys are aware of the red pill, or do you guys have seen red pill content, let me know on the live chat. I'm interested to hear your thoughts of what you think the red pill is. A lot of people say the red pill, a lot of people, and there's a lot of men out there that would agree that the red pill does help improve men's lives. But there's a lot of men out there also that's not part of the red pill, or used to be part of the red pill, and they found out that the red pill was too toxic, and they left the red pill, and they say that it doesn't help men at all. So it'd be interesting to have this conversation, but this is a conversation I've had with my fellow cohorts, just especially other men, especially men in the YouTube space who are aware of this type of content, and just having discussions of different things and different topics, especially the different ideologies that they preach to the young men. So we're going to kind of break that down tonight. So I think the first step for tonight is just defining what the red pill community is, especially for the people who's watching this right now who may not know what the red pill is. Okay. I have my version, my definition, a very simplistic definition of what the red pill is, but let me play this video because I saw this interview by Raul Tomasi. He kind of broke down a lot of men in the red pill community respect him and regard him as the godfather of the red pill, or the founder, the founder of red pill. So let me play that video right now. And he kind of broke it down what the red pill is. And of course, I'll kind of give my comments as we're watching the video. And of course, as you guys watching this video, let me know what you guys think. Okay. So let me let's pull up the video on YouTube. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Okay, all right. So I found the video. So let me just play the video real quick, and this is an interview between Raul Tomasi, right? Raul Tomasi, about the difference between the red pill and the blue pill. I'm not really familiar with the blue pill or the black. I didn't know there was a black pill. So there's a black pill, there's a blue pill, and there's a red pill. So I'm only familiar with the red pill, but I have no idea what the blue pill is or the black pill is. So if you guys are watching this right now and know what the black pill or blue pill is, drop it on the live chat. But let me play this video real quick, and it kind of gives a breakdown of what the red pill is. All right. Let me play the video. Let me see. There we go. Okay. All right. So hopefully the audio is working. Let me know in the live chat if you guys have any audio issues, especially from my mic. And if you can, I'm going to play the video. The audio should be good from your end, from you guys' end. So you guys should be hear this clearly. But if you guys can't hear the video, let me know in the live chat. So let me play the video.
Personal ideologies, they're religious, and they understand intersexual dynamics, right? Because, again, abstract.
Red pill has no objective definition, and everyone kind of defines it differently. So let's settle this once and for all. What does it mean to be red pill? What does it mean to be blue pill?
Okay, so first and foremost, these are, again, abstract terms, okay? The red pill as a sort of a terminology was created, or was like, it got bounced around back in the day in the old seduction communities and the seduction forums. And we didn't even really call it red pill at that time. We said unplugging from the matrix, right? Because I believed all of these things about like women. I've been playing by the rules. I've been playing by the old set of, rule book, and I've got nothing but I'm single and sexless, and it doesn't work for me, kind of thing. And I believed all this stuff. And then when men understand their own nature, and they understand women's nature, and they understand intersexual dynamics between the two of them, then they sort of pull themselves out of this matrix, and they start putting themselves into, came out of the gaming community, meaning like pickup artists and stuff of the early 2000s, which evolved into what we call the manosphere, what we call the red pill right now. The red pill is a praxeology. It is not an ideology. I got to make that clear right now. Okay, so praxeology is the study of
praxeology. All right, let me just look that up. in philosophy, praxeology. Let me right here. Praxeology in philosophy, praxeology or praxeology in the theory of human action based on the notion that humans engage in purposeful behavior contrary to reflexive behavior and other unintentional behavior. Interesting. Okay, praxeology. So it's the philosophy of human action and just understanding that humans behave in a certain way and this purpose behind why we behave in a certain way. Okay, so pretty much praxeology is just understanding human behavior. But of course, in the context of the red pill, is understanding why men behave when it comes to mate selection and dating and relationships. Okay. All right. So let's keep playing.
That behavior has a purpose or an intent to it. Okay. And there's, by the way, I'm lifting that term from from socioeconomic terms. That's not even like just some red pill thing we pulled out of our asses here. Okay. So the red pill to me anyways is from say about 2004 is when we started using the term red pill. And red pill was, I used to think about women and dating and intersexual dynamics and love and this and everything in one way. And now that I've learned game, now that I've learned intersexual dynamics, I think about things in a different way. And
so pretty much from his explanation, but so this is my understanding of what the red pill is. So to me, what the red pill is just understanding the fundamental basics of female nature or behavior. Usually for a lot of guys, we don't understand why women behave in a certain way. I know especially for a lot of young men, it's really, really hard for a lot of young men to date, understand women, because obviously because of biology, we are different. Men and women, we think differently, we react differently, we're interested in different things. So one of the challenges for men, especially young men, if you don't understand female behavior, you're going to have a hard time, right? The only way you get better as a man talking to women and communicating with women and understanding women is by talking, communicating, and dating women. That's the only way. So what, in my understanding of, based on the consumption of red pill content that I've consumed so far, is just understanding the psychology of women, understanding why women behave a certain way, why women choose certain men, why women are attracted to certain men and they're not attracted to certain men. So obviously for a lot of guys, they usually just go into dating women with a very naive mindset and a very Disney fairy tale mindset. You know what? Maybe if I just treat her right, be nice to her, and give her flowers, hopefully she'll love me and choose me. And unfortunately, for a lot of guys, they tried that method. They try to be the nice guy. They try to give women flowers. They try to date women and be a gentleman. But for some reason, they don't get selected, or women cheat on them, or they don't have a good relationship and experience with women, or they get rejected, and they don't succeed with women. And then once they finally understand they start consuming the red pill content and understanding the female nature, understanding the psychology of women, understanding why women behave in a certain way, why women choose certain types of men compared to why women reject certain men. That is your red pill moment. That is when you take the red pill and finally understand, oh, wow. You finally look at women and understand why women choose and behave in a certain way. So that's my explanation of what red pill is. It's just understanding female nature, why women behave in a certain way, why women mate select, and why women are attracted to certain types of men, and why women do certain things when it comes into when it comes to the dynamic of a relationship, and especially a relationship between a man and a woman. Okay, so that is my explanation of what red pill is just understanding female nature, just to keep it simple for everybody out there. And of course, that's what Rollo Tomas is revealing here is that's what happens when you take the red pill and finally understand why women behave in a certain way when it comes to dating, the intersexual dynamics of dating, relationships, sex. Okay. But obviously, let me know in the live chat. Let me know what you guys think about what is your definition, what is your experience with the red pill, and how do you define it for yourself? But let me keep playing the video.
So what happened along the way since that time, I went back and I looked at my forum posts from as far back as like 2002 or 2005. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? Almost 20 years now. And I look back at that and I go, that's the first instance of me using the term red pill way back in 2004. And now what's happened is it gets bastardized because everyone wants to, because it's a popular term online on the internet. People want to use it for their political ideologies, their personal ideologies, their religion, whatever it is. That is, I used to think stupid, false stuff, and now I think the right stuff, right? So the truth is whatever the red pill is for your pet ideology. And that's why I have to say that the red pill, as far as intersexual dynamics and the way that it was originally intended, it's a praxeology in that we're going to go out into the field, we're going to take notes, we're like, Jane Goodall or Diane Fossey, Gorillas in the Mist, looking
Study
at
the gorillas,
the humans, right? And so we come back, we create hypotheses from that, we test those in the field through game or whatever, like red pill and red pill awareness is the theory. Game ends up being the practice of it, and each one is incomplete without the other because one informs the other. That's really what the red pill was about. So when people say, well, what's the red pill to you? Well, it's intersexual dynamics. It's not politics, because we kept hearing this all the time. Like when Trump was running for office, by the way, Candace Owens, her old Twitter handle used to be red pill black. Okay, because it was a popular term.
She politically hijacks that.
It was and so then you've got that. So what's an MRA, men's rights activist? What's a MGTOW, men going their own way? What's the black pill? What's the white pill? What's the purple pill? What's this pill? What's your mom pill?
A lot of pills out there.
Exactly.
Popping pills.
And so I always come back to
stay drug free, kids.
Come back to the red pill, because what happens is right now it gets cast as this ideology. Oh, those red pill guys believe this. It's not a belief set. It is a set of it's a database. It's a knowledge base. It's like the Chilton Manual for intersexual dynamics and understanding women's nature and understanding men's nature. So when people ask me, like, what's the red pill? I can't give you an elevator pitch for it. I can't do it in like 3 minutes. Because there's so much that's attached to it.
Gotcha.
It's about sex. It's about politics. It's about personal relationships. It's about families. It's about raising kids. You think of all the things that are attached to sexual dynamics. Well, the only way I can explain that to myself is to turn that into an ideology. And sometimes it's depressing. Sometimes it's hard to accept that stuff. But you have to remember that it's just you don't have but when people first become aware of the red pill.
I'm trying to figure out where he talks about the blue pill. I'm not really familiar with the blue pill, but I know the red pill.
Or they become aware of intersexual dynamics of their own and women's. It can be a tough pill to swallow.
I agree. That was well said.
Okay. So let me stop sharing this screen. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna talk about different things that I've seen on the red pill. There are a couple of things that I disagree regarding the praxicology or whatever they call it, or the ideologies that I've seen. But I will say this. But before I break down a lot of the things that I disagree, I will say that I am not red pill. I am red pill aware. I am aware of the red pill and the studies and the statistics and the facts that they use to describe and understand female behavior. So I don't have it. You guys already know, watch my podcast. It's always facts over feelings. So I do agree. I don't have a problem with all the facts. I don't have a problem with all the data and the research and the explanation of why women behave in a certain way. So the data is the data, the facts are the facts, and the studies are the studies, right? So I think for me, of why I disagree, why I'm not red pill, because I think the red pill started, maybe the first wave when it first started. I think it had some good intentions to help men improve, because obviously a lot of men struggle with dating, a lot of men struggle with attracting women, a lot of men struggle with talking to women. This is something that a lot of guys, especially young men, I think we all go through it. Trying to understand women. There's a good book you should probably read. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus, I believe. It's a good book of understanding intersexual dynamics between men and women. I didn't read the book, but I did read some summaries and about the book, which was interesting. But obviously a lot of guys struggle with dating. So I think in the beginning of the red pill, when he first started and introducing all these concepts and knowledge and data and statistics for men to understand intersexual dynamics between men and women, I think it was a good thing. I think it started out as a good thing, trying to help men understand women so that way they can look within themselves and take accountable for things they lack and self-improve. And so that way they can be able to attract the type of women that they want, especially the good women. But I think over time, I've only been consuming red pill content, I think, for the last 2 years. I didn't know about the red pill until I believe it was 2020, 2023, I think 2021. That's when I first got introduced to the red pill. I saw my first red pill content, and it was interesting because it was interesting to see the psychology and the breakdown of female nature and behavior, because we've all experienced some failures when it comes to women. We all got rejected by women, and then when you look back in hindsight, 2020, and then once you understand the red pill, once you understand female behavior, of why females choose certain types of men and don't choose you, or why you get rejected, and why women choose a certain type of men, or why it didn't work out in your past relationship, or whatever it is for you, depending on your situation and your experience with women, you finally understand, like, oh wow, that's where I messed up in that relationship. That's where I messed up when it came to that conversation, or when it came to the experience with that woman. So it's interesting. So I'm not going to argue with the facts, right? I'm not going to argue with the facts and the data and the research that the red pill community introduces and consistently tells men, because the facts and the data and the research is there. Okay, facts over feelings. But do I have a sound effect for that? The facts are the facts, right? I need to get a facts over feeling sound effect. All right. Let me get some Kava real quick. But I think why I am not actively participating in the red pill, because I think what has evolved to, like that video that Raul Tomasi was explaining, what has evolved to is, I think a lot of men, I think I had a conversation with Paulo Fessa. I think today in 2023, I think most young men I think the purpose of the red pill was to take that information, right? To take that information and then understanding female nature and female behavior and female psychology, was to take that information and apply it in real life and go out there and actively pursue women, talk to women, date women, and be able to gain experience and improve yourselves when it comes to women. And I think what the red pill has evolved to is to the very extreme, where men are using the female nature, facts, statistics, and data to justify why women are terrible. They're trying to use the female psychology and the female behavior and the female nature to justify why women are terrible and why it's not their fault. And I think that's where I decided to leave the red pill. Right? I'm not gonna lie. If you're a young man and you're struggling, you're just in the very beginning stages of your life, and of course you have, you're just at you're at the bottom, right? You have no car, you have no house, you're just trying to figure out to get a job, you're trying to figure out your career, you're trying to figure out your life, you're trying to figure out yourself. Obviously, you're gonna struggle with dating and relationships, because you're competing with all men. And you're also competing with men who already got their lives together, who are older, who are much more accomplished than you, have much more confidence, more competent, more financial, social, economic status, right? More social status. So you're competing with all those men. And obviously, if you understand female nature, women are hypergamous, so they date up. Women always want the best quality man that they can get. All right. So if you're a young man, just 18, coming out of college, right? 18, 19, or early 20s, you're going to struggle, especially when it comes to men. Almost not when it comes to women, right? Especially in today's social media dating age. And what's happening is, for a lot of guys, is when they have the bad experiences with women, when they get rejected, or they get cheated or manipulated, or they go through a breakup, and usually if the woman initiates it, decides to leave the relationship, what happens is when they find the red pill, a lot of the information, they find it in a very tough time in their life, especially if they had a recent bad experience with women. When they finally understand and listen to the data and the information and the statistics and the research, what happens is for a lot of guys is they use that information to justify, you know what, that's why females and women are bad, right? Like I mentioned to you guys before, there's a psychology term called hypergamy, where women generally is their evolutionary psychology and behavior to always date up and across, right? So women they only want to date men in their level or higher. They don't want to date men lower than them, right? And there's a reason for that, right? There's a reason for that. The reason why women only want the best quality man they can get, and the reason why most women in general, obviously, for all the women out there that always want to argue with me, they always want to talk about the 1% of the exceptions. Of course, there are exceptions for women that will date the lower status men, right? But I'm talking about the majority. Majority of women are going to date men in either the same socioeconomic status or higher. And the reason why women do that is because they have more risk when it comes to the investment, and that risk is pregnancy, right? So women, they have the consequence of having sex with a man is they can get pregnant. So that's why for most women, why it's a matter of survival, and also a matter of making sure that they pass on the best genes to the children, so they have healthy children. They're always going to try to select the most masculine male with masculine features, because masculine features, a man with big shoulders, got that V taper, got that chin, beard, good physique, taller. Usually when they choose those types of men, it's because you have the best chance as a woman to make sure that your kids are healthy, because masculine features are biological features that women find attractive in men. Those are health markers to show that man has a healthy immune system and he's healthy, right? So for women, the risk of having sex with a man, the consequence, I wouldn't say risk, but the consequence of having sex with a man is a child, right? So obviously when they get into pregnancy and they go into labor, you want to be with the man that's competent enough and has the resources, the financial, socioeconomic status to take care of you. So that is why for most women, they only want to choose men at the same level or higher. So if they reject you because you're at a lower level, it's not because they're evil or bad or women are bad. It's just that is their normal human nature and to what they find attractive and how they may select when it comes to choosing a partner. So the thing is, for a lot of men, if they dated a girl and the girl decided to reject him or leave him for a better quality man that was more competent, had more money, taller, more masculine features, or just better looking, whatever the reason was. So a lot of guys who find the red pill after that rejection would use that female nature explanation of hypergamy. See, women can't love me the way I am. Women are gold. That's always what I hear from a lot of guys. Women are gold diggers. Women always want to, they don't care about men. All they care about is money, status, competence, men who are bigger, taller, faster. So that's where I find issue with the red pill. There's a lot of men that's using the knowledge of understanding female nature, and they're using that against women to justify why women are so terrible, and not self-reflecting and looking themselves of, what are things that I can improve as a man, so that way I can go out there and compete with the other men who are doing really well. So that way I'll be able to choose and track women, and I can choose the type of woman I want to be with and have options. All right. So that is why for me, I'm not in the red pill space. So I am aware of it. I don't have a problem with the data, but the thing, what the red pill has evolved to this day is just a lot of guys are not going out there and using that information of understanding female nature and going out there and dating and actively dating, and also improving with women, improving how to communicate with women, how to talk to women, how to date women, and how to attract women. So I think there's a lot of things I want to cover for tonight. And that, I think that's why for me is, and of course a lot of these guys are just living. I think a lot of these guys also are just living vicariously through the men that they see in the red pill space, right? Usually, traditionally before like our great grandparents' time, if you wanted to go date a girl or have or experience a woman or have sex with a woman, the only way you could do that is you had to actively go and pursue a woman. That was the only way you could be able to either talk to women, date women, or have sex with a woman. Is you had to go pursue women, or you had to go approach a woman, right? But of course, today in 2023, because of social media, because of the apps, a lot of guys just live vicariously through uh, the internet. So if they want access to if they want to have access to sex, instead of going out there and pursuing women to have sex, what most guys do is, instead of going out there in the real world and experiencing and dating and try to approach women, try to date women, communicate with women, and try to try to have sex with women, if that's what you want for your life, they just go online, they go watch some porn, they can go to OnlyFans, they can go to OnlyFans and get that sexual gratification or pleasure online, and so they don't really have to go out there to the real world and deal with women, right? So that's why a lot of guys are struggling right now, because, and I think that's why for me is because when you see the comments, right? When you read the comments, that oftentimes when I host my Saturday night show, I've been podcasting for 2 years and I've been doing dating shows every weekend. You always see a lot of these guys complaining and criticizing these women for behaving in a certain way that usually it can be explained through the female nature psychology and tendency, right? Because when you have conversation with women, they'll all, you ask most women, what do you prefer, men who's 6 foot or men who's short? Most girls are gonna say they want a guy that's 6 foot and up. What do you prefer, a guy with money that's broke? Most girls are gonna say, I want a guy with money, right? So obviously, when these guys who are unsuccessful with women, when they hear that and they watch the show, right, you can see it on the live chat, the contempt and the hate that they have for these women. See, all these women are hoes. All these women, they're gold diggers. They only want to date successful men. They only care about man's finances. Oh, they don't see. They can't truly love a man because his height. Why can't you love short kings? What if you meet a guy that's short and he truly loves you? You're still gonna go for the guy that's 6 foot? Of course, no doubt. Right? Of course, she's gonna go with the guy that's 6 foot. Of course, she's gonna go with the guy with the more money, because it is in her nature. She is biologically designed to be attracted and pursue men who are taller, bigger, and more financially competent, who has more resources than you. So instead of criticizing these women for their human nature of why they choose and select the types of men they want, then you have to look within yourself as a man. You know what? There are certain things that I lack that most women that are saying on this panel that what they're attracted to. And it's up to you to go out there and put the work in, right? And then, of course, those same men who criticize these women on the panels on my live chat, after they shit on the women on the entire podcast, at the very end, these are the same guys who be like, try to hit on the women. Hey, I'll take you out. I'll try to, or they'll slide on the DMs right after. A lot of girls have told me that a lot of the guys that would shit on them on the live chat would be the same guys that would try to DM them and try to holler at them after the podcast. So it's interesting. So it's interesting to see. I think there's a lot of things. Like I told you guys before, I agree with all the facts and the data that the red pill does introduce to men. I think the problem is a lot of these guys are not taking the information and using that and going out there to the real world to talk and experience women. Most guys are not approaching women. All right. I was watching a podcast. I think Chris Williamson is one of the guys I like to watch. And I think he mentioned on his podcast, I think about 50% of men are afraid of approaching women. And then when you talk to most women, I think about 70-80% of women prefer to be approached, but I think 50% of men are afraid of approaching women. So we live in a generation where most women want to be approached, but the men are afraid of men don't believe in approaching. right? Because most guys are living vicariously through the internet. They're living vicariously through the apps and social media. So they're not going out there and doing the things they need to do. All right. So it's interesting. It's interesting it's an interesting conversation. So the whole topic we're discussing tonight, does the red pill, does it really improve men's lives? Right. And of course, everybody that's watching this right now, thank you so much for watching. Shout out to you guys. I see you guys right now on the live chat. You guys are on the live chat. I see Rose. I see the Dark Knight. Hey man, what's up, guys? And I see Milagros. Always good to see you on here. So don't forget. And I see, always good to see you guys on the live chat. Thank you for supporting the channel and be part of tonight's live stream. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And you guys know it's a public show. So Dark Knight, Rose, Milagros, if you guys want to jump on, click on that link. Don't forget, if you're watching this for the first time, it is a public live stream. So you guys, I'm always welcome to hear from other people, men and women, to discuss this topic. So click on the click on that link and jump on. But let's get back to the topic. Does the red pill really improve men's lives? And also, I think one of the reasons why I believe also the red pill has kind of become very extreme, very radical, like the feminist, like third wave feminism. To me, in my opinion, this is my opinion, I think what the current state of red pill today, 2023, September 14, I think the current state of red pill is the red pill today, the way I see it, is just the feminism for women. Feminism started as a great thing. You know, the first wave feminism was more about equal rights, making sure that women get empowered, making sure women have equal rights and opportunities as men. But I think after the second generation and third generation feminism, if you look at feminism today, you literally see there's a contempt, right? They're just anti-men, they're against men. A lot of radical feminists, they hate men, they have a negative perception of men, right? So I think what the red pill is today at its current form, I think has become very radical, very extreme, where most guys right now, it's just the same thing as feminism, the radical feminism, right? It's just a feminism for men. A lot of these guys are anti-women. You know, a lot of guys are starting because of this information, because of when they finally understand female nature, and they're not going out to the real world and experiencing and getting that experience with women and improving themselves as men so they can attract the type of quality of women they want. Because they fail with women, they have a very negative perception towards women. And that's why you see a lot of these these groups, right? These groups called MGTOW, men going their own way. There are a whole generation of men who are deciding to give up on dating and pursuing women. Man, that's crazy, right? Let me see if I have a sound effect. All right. I don't know if I gotta get more sound effects, but that's crazy, right? We have the MGTOW. All right. There's another one. I think World Tamasi mentioned it, but there's different. I see different types of movements where a lot of these guys are just giving up on women in general. All right, or they just believe that all women are the same. And I've had this conversation. Obviously, you guys know I have a Wednesday Hot Topic podcast when I bring a panel of men and women, and we have these discussions on different topics. But it's interesting to hear from everybody. But I have a lot of conversations offline and behind, after the stream, when I talk to guys. And I know certain guys in the red pill space, they absolutely believe in their heart, in every fiber of their body and their mind. They believe that all women are the same and they cannot be trusted, right? I know some men like that who have that red pill ideology, and that's why I believe. For me, that's why I believe as a man, those guys are not putting in the work. Because if you put in the work, if you self-improve, if you take accountability, right? You guys, I just did a live stream last week. The 3 tenets of masculinity: accountability, resiliency, discipline, right? If you apply yourself as a man to be more resilient, be more accountable, be more responsible, be more disciplined, right? Find your purpose, find your goal, work out, be healthy, eat right. If you put in the work as a man and self-improve, I promise you, right? You're going to attract women, whether if you're a short guy or you're a tall guy. Now, I'm not saying that you're gonna be able to attract the same amount of attention that tall men that the tall men who are 6 foot and above are gonna attract. But even if you're a short guy, if you're 5'1", 5'2", 5'3", obviously you see so many examples of girls choosing to be with a shorter guy. Or if you're 5'1" as a man, which is really short, right? If that's the only thing you have for you and you're not self-improving and you're just average and everything else and you're 5'1", you're gonna suffer and you're gonna struggle with women. That's just a fact. Okay. But if you're 5'1" and you're making good money and you're in fit and healthy shape, I promise you're going to be able to attract more women, but I'm sure you're going to be able to attract a woman that's 5'1" or 5'2" or the same height as you. You have to be, you can be able to compete with with the taller and the taller men. But if all you got going for you is 5'1" and you have nothing else to offer as a guy, obviously women are not going to choose you. You're gonna struggle. But instead of blaming the women of why they're choosing taller men, you're gonna instead of blaming them for blaming why women are choosing taller men, you gotta look within yourself and take responsibility. So it's just a lot of things I see with the red pill. And obviously, if you go online, let me show you something. Obviously, if you go online, if you go to the red pill content, right? If you go to the red pill content creators, right? And there's a lot of big names out there. There's a lot of big channels out there with the red pill content. But let me see who's a. So there's a big podcast called the Whatever Podcast, right? So let me see if I can share this screen for you. I'll give you guys an example. All right, share the screen. There you go. So I'm just using the Whatever Podcast because it's a popular podcast. But if you look at the type of content, right, and I'm not shitting on the Whatever Podcast, they're killing it, they're doing their thing. I'm just talking about for tonight's topic because a lot of guys watch this podcast. Majority, I think there's a statistic out there I saw that I think 80% of YouTube are men, right? So majority of people on YouTube are men. So majority of the guys who are consuming this content, especially this dating relationship show from the Whatever Podcast, majority of them are men. But if you look at the type of content and the type of titles that they constantly post on these types of big platforms that's considered to be red pill, usually the type of content that you see and the type of things that they talk about is usually about the worst types of behavior of women, right? So usually if you go to a lot of the red pill content creators and look at their the type of content that usually have the most amount of views or usually that most guys are tuning in for, especially for their live stream, they're always talking about female nature, right? A woman divorcing a man after 30 years, or a woman deciding to go through a whole phase, or a woman deciding to take their kids from their man, or whatever the video. There's always a different type of woman, right? So usually what you see on these big platforms, they're usually describing like the worst types of women, and that's usually the content that most guys are consuming. But if you ever look at the content of the big red pill content creator channels, you rarely see any kind of videos or any kind of podcast that they do where they just focus solely on male improvement, right? So we talk about the problem. Obviously, there's problems from both men and women. There are certain things that men are lacking. They need to self-improve to be better men, better fathers, and better husbands. But obviously, the same thing can be said for women, that women need to self-improve as well. So they can become better women, better mothers, and better wives. But oftentimes when you go to these red pill, so Whatever Podcast is one of them. This is a popular one I like to follow. What's his name? I'm trying to think. Man, I just forgot I just forgot his name. What's his name of the? Well, I know MTR is one of them. All right, MTR. I know the MTR is a big channel, right? So usually, if you just look at the type of content that they make, right, it's usually they're just talking about more of female nature, right? They'll find the worst examples of women behaving badly, or women just acting inappropriately, and they'll use those. And usually, those are the videos they constantly make. And of course, I understand as a YouTube content creator, there's money involved, right? It's incentivized. So usually, if you make more videos, you can make more money. But I think the problem is because most red pill content creators are all making the same type of content of just showing men, especially the young men who are on this platform on YouTube, all they consume about women is the worst types of women that they talk about and they show on their platform. So they usually don't have any kind of content or create any kind of content about self-improvement for men, right? So usually when I see the red pill content creator space, they usually talk about the problem of women. But I think as a man, our responsibility as being strong men and strong leaders is we have to be able to offer a solution. And my thing is like if we're gonna talk about the problem, we also have to talk about the solution to keep it balanced, right? But the thing is, if all the young guys or men on YouTube are consuming is the worst types of women, the most inappropriate and most behaved women, and the low quality women, and that's all they consume, then then of course your perception and your belief of what you believe that most women out there today are undateable, are not good women, are not good quality women, and they're gonna cheat, they're gonna divorce you, and they're gonna take your money and they're gonna take your kids. Of course, most guys are gonna think that way because that's all they see. Obviously, we know that there are good men out there, there are strong masculine men out there, there are good men out there that have good leadership skills and they have a good family, they're treating their woman, they have a great wife, they have children. Obviously, there are men out there like that. But the thing is, you rarely see those types of conversations or those examples or highlighting those types of men or just having creating content for the specific just male improvement. So that's why for me, even though I have my Saturday night shows, for me is, of course, I'm going to bring some women. And obviously, there's a lot of modern women that come on my podcast who are delusional, all right? Especially when we have those conversations of what they believe and expect of the type of men they can get without really reciprocating to make sure that they offer something of equal value to the table if they want a very valuable or high quality or high value man. Obviously, you see that on my Saturday night shows. And I know a lot of you guys enjoy it. But I also try to balance that out. That's why I have the Mastermind podcast on Thursdays. Right, on Thursdays, and usually with Paulo Festa and some other the panel men. Usually, if you guys have been watching my podcast, on Thursdays, I dedicate an entire night in live stream and just focusing on male improvement, masculinity, and purpose. So that way we can improve as men, right? So that way you're not, and of course, on this podcast, we have to keep it 100. Obviously, you guys on the live chat always want to hold women accountable in the live chat, right? A lot of you guys, I always see it on the live chat from you guys, right? When I have my Saturday night shows and I bring, the modern women, the delusional women, the career-oriented women, the 304s, whatever it is, you always hold women accountable, Okay, I understand. We should, right? Women should hold themselves accountable as men. We should hold women accountable, but also we have to hold ourselves accountable, right? So that's why I have the Mastermind podcast. We have to call out our own bullshit as men. Okay. So that's why for me, I try to keep it balanced with the type of content because I understand there's young guys watching. I understand there's both men and women watching, but I don't want I remember I think it was about a year ago because obviously the only show that I had was the dating show on my Saturday night show. And I realized a lot of the clips that I went viral for my channel was the delusional women, modern women, women saying outlandish things or behaving inappropriately on my podcast. That got most of the views to my channel. But what I realized is I was attracting very toxic men to my channel. Men who, like I mentioned to you guys before, men who have a very negative perception of women and men who for some men, there's some men I've seen on my channel, especially on what I've seen in the live chats. There's a lot of guys that just totally hate women, right? Or they just don't. They believe all women are the same, or there's no such thing as a good quality woman, right? So, I think for me, that's when I made a decision. I didn't want to become that type of channel for my channel. I didn't want to be known as like the guy that hates women. Obviously, there's a lot of women out there who disagree or don't like my channel, especially from my past views and my clips that went viral. So a lot of girls may think that I'm a misogynist or I hate women. I don't like women. But for me, even though I can't control that, obviously there's always going to be girls out there, especially the feminists. The feminists are always going to, always going to have they're always going to hate the type of content, especially the type of content I make, right? But for me, even though I can't control that, but I wanted to put in more effort to make sure that I'm not viewed and known as that type of channel, right? And I think if you guys watch the big dating podcasts, like whatever podcast, the Fresh and Fit, like Fresh and Fit, I respect Fresh and Fit. I've watched their journey. I watched their journey of starting from the bottom, working their way up. Anything when I see content creators start from the bottom and put in the work to make sure that they can grow their channel, I have nothing but respect for people that hustle and try to make things happen for themselves. I will always respect the hustle and the hard work, but I think, for my opinion, is a lot of people, a lot of women have a very negative perception about Fresh and Fit. And I think, even though I don't believe Fresh and Fit are misogynists or they hate women, but I understand, especially the types of content that they release, and I understand why a lot of people think that way. So I think for me that's why I made a decision, I think it was like a year ago, to make sure that I wanted to balance out my content. So even though I'm still gonna host my dating and relationship podcast on Saturdays, but I wanted to make sure that I dedicate an entire show for men, so that way we can call out our own bullshit as men, so we can figure out the solutions and self-improve. Because I do believe at the end of the day, it's still up to us to fix the issues that we see with the problem with the dating market today. I think it still comes back to the men, right? Because as men, if we become better men, because if you have high standards as a man and you're working yourself to improve, then of course you're going to be able to attract certain types of women, and then you can choose a good woman. And I think as a man, if you're a good man and you choose a good woman, you're going to raise good children, right? And those children are not going to end up the types of daughters or guys that we see make bad decisions, especially when it comes to the dating market that we see with the whole phase, with the OnlyFans. I think most of the people who are struggling or making bad choices with their making bad dating choices and sex choices and relationship choices, I think a majority of that has to go back to the type of household they came from, right? I think as men, especially in America with the rise of single motherhood, with the breakdown of the nuclear family, I think that's why we see so many people participating in hookup culture, having kids out of wedlock, becoming single mothers earlier. And we have some men just choosing not to support their child, some men just giving up that responsibility. So I think one of the biggest solutions to that was just bringing back the tradition of the nuclear family and having strong families. But in order to have a strong family, the man has to be strong, right? And I think that it just starts with us. If the men are strong, we're going to raise good daughters. We're going to raise good sons, and they're going to start families as well. They're going to pass on those same traditions and values. And I think that's how we keep women off the pole. That's how we keep women from participating in the whole phase and hookup culture. That's how we keep women from, starting an OnlyFans. If you have strong, good values and strong male leadership in the household, right? So regardless of, we can blame women all day. We can blame women for being promiscuous. We can blame women for deciding to participate in the whole phase, in the whole culture of single independent. I think, in my opinion, I think still, if you try to figure out a solution how to fix this problem that we see in today, 2023, in the modern dating relationship scene, it still comes back to the responsibility of just making sure that it starts with you as a man, right? Because if you're a good man, good morals and values, and you work on yourself, self-improve, then you'll be able to pick and choose a good woman. You're gonna have good kids, and their life's gonna be better, and their lives, and you're gonna lead them, and you're gonna guide them with good moral values, so they don't end up making the same choices that we see a majority of this generation they're deciding to choose today, and wonder why they're single and they can't attract relationships, or they can't get married at all. All right, so that's my take on why I believe why the red pill doesn't help men, because I think most guys today in the red pill space, most of these guys are not actively going out there to the real world and pursue and date women and gain firsthand experiences. So there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about and to address, right? A couple of things that I wanted to address, especially what I see with the red pill space. All right. I think the first thing, in order to improve the, like I told you guys before, there has to be a balance, right? There has to be a balance of, if we're going to talk about the red pill, we have to talk about the leaders of the red pill, right? So it starts with that, because the ones who are leading the red pill, so the guys and the women, obviously there's women now joining the red pill. You know, Just Pearl Things is one of the biggest ones out there, but there are women out there that's part of the red pill space. So I think it starts at the top. It starts with the people who are part of the red pill space, and they're the ones that's controlling the narrative. They're the ones controlling the information and the content that majority of these young men consume. And I think what's happening today is, especially with the red pill, is most guys, when it comes to relationships and dating, all they see is videos and podcasts about why relationships or why women are failing, or why men shouldn't choose these types of women, right? So like I told you guys before, they're all they show on these podcasts, and I understand why. I'm not shitting or shaming these podcasts for why they choose it, because obviously if you find pretty women, very 304s or the OnlyFans women or the porn stars, if you find those women, naturally these guys who are 80% of men on the YouTube are men. So naturally, most guys, if they see a hot woman on the thumbnail or on a screen, they're gonna click on it. So I understand why a lot of these big channels do it, but the thing is, what's happening is most of these guys, all they see on the red pill space are failed relationships, right? Like one of my favorite content creators is TLA, the lead attorney. Shout out to the lead attorney out there, right? But his main channel is just talking about divorce, right? Which is important. Like, you have to understand the divorce. You have to understand how that works today in 2023 in the modern world, right? Especially if as a man, if you really want to decide to go and marry a woman, you have to make sure that you have your affairs in order to make sure to protect yourself. Especially when it comes to marrying a woman today, especially in Western society. But if you talk about, the TLA, I understand why he talks about divorce, because he's a divorce attorney. But if you see a lot of the red pill content space and leaders, all they talk about is divorces or divorced women. So what I think is, like I told you guys before, what I see is what needs to be seen in the red pill space is more examples of healthy relationships, and more examples of guys who they look up to are in healthy relationships. But the problem with the red pill space that I see today is most of the guys that are leading these young guys, especially in the space of the red pill, and they call themselves red pill leaders. Most of these guys aren't in relationships, or most of these guys are struggling with being in long-term relationships. So I think that's one of the things that we need to fix and focus on, especially if we really want to improve men to become better men, better fathers, and better husbands, and be in better relationships with women. Then we have to have more examples of that, especially in the red pill space. But most of the guys that you see in the red pill space, I see this ideology, right? And I've seen this in multiple channels, that as men, the advice they usually give men on the red pill space is go out there, get your monies up. Usually has money, muscles, and game. get your money up, get your muscles up, and then get your game up, so that way you can have sex with as many women as you can, right? And once you're done having sex with as many women as you can, and of course, for them in the red pill space, is this ideology that if you're a high value man, a man with high socioeconomic status, it is okay with you. It is okay to have to be with multiple women, because that's what happens when you become a high value man, right? And I disagree. I disagree with that ideology. But I don't blame men either for once they become successful and they attract multiple women and have options. I don't believe that just because you're a high value man and you attract multiple women, you should go out there and have sex with all the women you can and have as many kids as you can. I don't think it does the kids doesn't benefit the kids at all. I think the purpose of sex and I think the purpose of relationships is to make sure that you can procreate, pass on your legacy, and also build a family. And I think the foundation of every great society in this world is always going to be is always going to be a strong nuclear family. So just because you become successful, and the thing oftentimes when I see the red pill space, they preach that these guys, hey, become successful so you can attract multiple women and you can have sex with all these women. But then again, they'll criticize women, right? They'll, in the same sentence, they'll criticize women for being single moms. But think about it: who are these single mom? Who are the types of men that are sleeping with these moms to end up becoming single moms? It's usually men who ain't shit, or usually men that have the ideology that I can sleep as many times as I want, but I have no accountability on my choices of the woman after I have sex with. So I think a lot of times we preach to men on what I see in the red pill is to have sex with multiple women, but we never talk about the accountability and responsibility. But okay, if you have sex with multiple women, what happens when you have 2 or 3 women and you get all these women pregnant, right? So obviously, if you get 3 women pregnant, most guys are gonna choose one. You're gonna choose one girl you like the most, the one that has probably the most wifey, the most high quality, and then the other 2, you're probably gonna deal with those types of women, right? Because if you're sleeping with women, then obviously you don't really have high standards as a man, right? Because usually when you're attracting multiple women, I think there's a study out there when it comes to variety for most men, when it comes to going out there sleeping around, we really don't have any standards when it comes to sleeping. Like, we don't care. If you can move, we'll have sex with that. We'll have sex with anything. So usually when it comes to having sex, for most guys, they're not really thinking about the accountability and responsibility long term, right? So if you're having sex with multiple women, then obviously some of these women are going to get pregnant. And obviously, as you only have one guy, so you're only going to commit to one woman. Then what's going to happen to those kids of the 2 or 3 other women that you impregnated? And then what happens is those kids are going to end up growing under single. Those women can be single moms. So as men, we're continuing and perpetuating the problem that we often complain about and criticize women for. So we can't sit here and say sleeping with multiple women, but at the same time, we can't criticize women for being single moms because you're telling men to go out there and to have irresponsible sex. Does that make sense for everybody? So that's where I have conflict with the red pill ideology. But so I see Dark Knight on the background. Let me add you in, Dark Knight.
What up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. What's up, Will? How you doing?
Good. Well, thank you.
But yeah, just to go off what you said, I think I agree as far as like the red pill and kind of like making it all about the women while other men capitalize on some of the bull stuff. I think it was well said.
Yeah, like I don't. As far as like, I agree with everything with the red pill, like the information, the data, because the data and the research, the statistics, it's facts, right? So I'm not disagreeing with the data, but I think for me is like I mentioned before, the purpose of understanding that, so that way we can use it to our advantage and go out there back to the dating world, and go out there and have better chances with women. Like once you understand female behavior, why women behave in a certain way, and you as a man take responsibility to improve on certain areas that you know that you're lacking of things that women are looking for. If you combine the data with the hard work, then obviously you're going to self-improve. But what I see for a lot of guys is, and I think most guys who find the red pill content space, I'm a victim of this, is when you recently just got out of a bad experience with a woman or a relationship, and then you find the red pill content, and then you listen to the red pill content, and it gives you, like, in your mind, see, that's why my relationship failed. That's why she left me. All right, because they're explaining female nature in a way that makes women look bad. But I think for me, that's where I see the hypocrisy, because oftentimes what I hear from the red pill space is modern women don't understand male nature, or don't accept male nature. But then oftentimes in the same sense, what I see from the red pill space is we criticize women for behaving like women, right? So we want women to accept male nature, but then we criticize women for behaving like women. Like I mentioned to you guys before, like the hypergamy and why women choose more successful men and women and men who are taller. You know, oftentimes I hear when I see in the live chat, especially for the short kings or the guys who are probably not there financially, I see, especially on the red pill space, they'll criticize those women. Oh, why do women can't really love a man that's on the bottom? Oh, women can't really love a man that's short. No, it's not about love. It's just that's what they're attracted to biologically, right? So yeah, it's interesting to see where the red pill has evolved, and I think right now I don't think it really helps the young men to evolve, to improve, because like I mentioned before, most of these guys are just living through the internet. They're not really going out there and trying to approach women or try to experience women in real life. Anything you want to add on to that, Dark Knight?
Red pill rage is real. Like that. That's what that's called. Red pill rage is real. When they get upset and bitter about it, and then they start connecting the dots. I think one of the more popular ones, Sneeko, he was like on a red pill rage for almost 2 years before he kind of like calmed down. Sometimes it takes longer for some of us men to like realize that it's not necessarily wrong that it's that way. We just have to improve and capitalize on whatever situation we're in, or make the most of it. So it's a tough, bitter process. I went through it too. I mean, obviously I'm long gone from it. So
yeah.
I think earlier before I joined, you mentioned, I think, some of the leaders of the red pill, pearly things and all that stuff. Me personally, I don't consider her a leader of the red pill. I just think she's probably the most popular one right now because of the entertainment factor. But most of her videos, her talking points and all that stuff, it's not hers. It's mostly coming from someone else. And she's just either saying it her own way or just being a little bit more vicious because she's a woman and she could bash it for more views. So I personally don't think, despite her subscriber count, I don't think she's one of the leaders of the red pill.
Then who in your eyes is a leader in the red pill?
One of the leaders, I think Kevin Samuels definitely was one of them, but obviously he passed away.
Yeah.
After that, it kind of Fresh and Fit kind of took the mantle a little bit, and it kind of went down to Coach Greg Adams, The Rational Male, Rollo Tomasi, Mediocre Tutorial Reviews, Anthony Joshua, some of those other ones. But right now, I think the red pill's in that situation where no one's really the leader. Everything's kind of just being fabricated or reused a lot, and everyone's kind of get bored of the red pill. So I feel like it's dying down. There's no one really in the front lines calling the shots or leading the way. Everyone's just trying to get their views, start their podcast, because like all these other podcasts are starting now, pretty much doing the same thing that you've been doing for a way longer, or Fresh and Fit, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to take away from the success of all those content creators that you just mentioned. But I think for me, a leader for me in the red pill space would be somebody. That quote that says, that motivational quote, right? If you want to be successful, find somebody that has the results you're looking for, and copy and imitate their behavior, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about it in the red pill space or the manosphere, what is the ultimate goal for the average guy with women? Is they want a family, right?
Yeah.
Most guys, they want to get a good woman, they want to be married to a good woman, and they want to have a successful relationship and never get divorced, right? That's that's usually what most guys are looking for. I'm talking about the average guy, right? So the thing is, the question for me is like, who do I look to in the red pill space that has that outcome? And if you look at most of the red pill leaders that you just mentioned, most of those guys aren't in relationships, and some of them have just came out of the relationship. I know Coach Greg Adams he's divorced. I believe TLA. I think TLA he's divorced, but I think no one is in a relationship.
Rollo Tomasi he's married. Rollo Tomasi.
Yeah, but the thing is, I know Rollo Tomasi is married, but my only criticism with Rollo Tomasi, he doesn't show it.
He does
right?
kind of keeps it very.
He hides it.
Yeah.
I understand it. Okay, if he says he's private, I understand it. I understand he doesn't want to, especially if he had a bad experience in the past. I think he talked about before on the previous stream where
on the red pill,
his family got doxxed, and so I get it. But the thing is, for me, is how are men gonna learn if they can't see it? If they can't see it, see what a healthy relationship is. I mean, it's easy to talk about it, but there's a different thing when you can see it. And I think that's the thing. No one is in a healthy relationship. And I think what gets lost in the red pill is we often talk about attracting women, right? Building ourselves up as a man to attract women. But I think the conversation that needs to be emphasized more is once we get that woman, how do you maintain and keep that woman?
They don't talk about that.
They don't talk about that at all. And of course they don't talk about that because they're all unsuccessful with it. They all got married, they all had women, and obviously they all divorced for whatever reason, or the relationship didn't work out. So I think for me is we got the attraction part down. We most guys who watch the content know what they need to do to become better quality men and improve men. If they're not doing it, that's their own fault for not putting in the work, right? But I think the conversation that gets lost is once you attract that woman, how do you maintain it? How do you maintain that type of woman? How do you make sure you're still in the leadership position? How do you make sure that that woman still respects you for 20, 30, 40, 50, and for the rest of your life? How do you overcome conflict? I think for me personally, one of the best people to look up to, he's not even in the red pill space, is PBD. I don't know if you follow Patrick David.
Yes.
On the Valuetainment.
He puts his family in front.
Yeah. He talks about his family. Like he talks about his marriage and his family and how he deals with the conflicts and issues that he experiences in his marriage. And when I listen to it, it's great advice because he's talking through experience. And of course, if you look at his woman, right, he has a good woman. She's not the type of woman that we see when compared to the modern women that you guys see most women complain about, right? Even though PBD, he's a very successful guy, and of course, I'm sure he attracts a lot of women, but he ended up choosing a good quality woman. And if you just listen to his mental frame and how he handles his conflicts that he often brings up on these podcasts, I'm like, man, that's actually good advice, because not only I hear it from him, but you also see it that he's actually still in a relationship, still in a marriage with his woman. So I think that's good positive inspiration and that men can look up to. But you don't really see that a lot with the red pill leaders. Is they know how to attract women, but I don't think they don't know how to maintain and keep a relationship thriving. And I think that's where the conversation needs to shift in the red pill space.
Just to play devil's advocate, I think I personally believe, like, let's say there was a scenario that they were able to maintain, or they showed it more. I think the viewership would decrease immensely.
Yeah, so that's I know why they keep showing that content, because it's money, it's incentivized, right? You get more views and make more money, right? I think Hafiz on from the roommates, he talked about he actually made a video about it, where he made a video about he was talking about some woman, right? It's like a woman acting inappropriately, and that I think that made him like $50,000 on that one video, and then he made another video about self-improvement, and I think that video only made him $5,000. So he's like, what are you gonna do if you as a content creator? If you as a content creator gonna create videos and make money, are you gonna make the type of content that's gonna bring you $50,000 potentially every single video you're gonna make, or are you gonna make the video that's making 5,000? You're gonna go with the 50,000, right? So that's why for me I think for me is I'm just being honest right now. I have to question the intention of when I hear a lot of these red pill guys. I care about men, right?
Oh, so your issue is you don't believe most of them are genuine about actually helping men. You think they're just in it for the short term.
Yeah, because if you really cared about men, then you would understand. Look, I understand the money. I understand making money. I understand it. But at some point, I'm sure, like, look, if you gotta hustle and grind to put food on your table and take care of your family, I'm not gonna knock that. But at the same time, I'm sure these guys are not, they're not at the position where they're almost gonna be kicked out of their house, or they don't have any food on the table. I'm sure they're doing really, really well, right?
I see what you're
So
saying.
I think
they don't need the money. They don't. Need
they don't really need the money. But I'm saying is, if you care about men and making sure that they self-improve, then I think you should tailor your content to make sure they do self-improve.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, that's just what I love. That's just what I see. So I'm not gonna knock the hustle. Like, I'm not gonna knock the hustle. Like, make your bag. But for me, it's like sometimes I really hear these guys. I really, I've seen guys go off on a rant. Like, guys, I really care about you guys. I love you guys. You guys. I was like, I don't know. I'm just being skeptical, because if you really cared about these guys, then you wouldn't predominantly make content that's just gonna give these guys a negative perception towards women. And
I think even for me, like, I don't tune into most of those creators I mentioned anyway. I don't watch them as much anymore as I did like a year ago or 2 years ago, because I felt like there wasn't anything much more I can learn, because they weren't talking about how to maintain a family or how to be a father, this and that. So that's a good point too. It's like over time it kind of gets boring.
Yeah.
And unmeaningful, because there's only so many times you can learn about how to get a girl and how to sleep with her and this and that. Female nature.
Yeah.
Like, it gets redundant, We can't be chasing hoes all the time.
But that's what I'm saying is that's what I see. And I see Milagros on the live chat. I see you, Milagros. I see you out there. I see your comments. Hey, Milagros, click on that link, Milagros. Come on, Milagros. You got something to say? I know you're not afraid to say what you believe. You got something to say, Milagros? Jump on. Let's have a midnight, a quick late afternoon chat.
Late afternoon chat.
Yeah, let's have a late afternoon chat, Milagros. Come on. I've seen you go hard on the women, Milagros. I've seen you go hard on the ladies on the pod. So let's keep it the same, and come on here. If you disagree on certain things that we're saying, I would like to hear your opinion. But click on that link, Milagros.
Pull up.
Yeah, and obviously, I know the thing is for me is I don't consider. I'm not gonna say, oh, I know the answers. Oh, I don't consider myself right now as a leader. I'm still in my journey as a man. I'm still trying to figure out things for myself. So the thing is, the difference to answer Milagros question, like, because obviously I'm not in a relationship right now. I don't want to be in a relationship right now because I have different I have different standards of where I want to be as a man before I pursue a
How old
relationship.
are you, bro?
Huh?
How old are you right now?
I'm 33. Okay. So the thing is, I'm still trying to figure. I'm still going through. I wouldn't call myself a leader. So right now, I'm just learning from everybody. I'm learning. Obviously, Balafessa is one of the main guys I talk to all the time. You know Balafessa, right? Yeah. So he's married. He's married. He has beautiful children. So I think for me, I've never on my podcast said that, hey, I'm a leader. You should look up to me. You should follow my behavior. You should follow what I do. I've never said that. But I do talk about what I believe and the things I value and my beliefs and my values. So I do believe in strong families. I believe in strong male leadership, right? So, and I know it works, and I know those things work. If you look at the statistics, nuclear families was always the best thing for children. So I think that's what, and then and I stand behind it, and that's why I talk about it all the time. That's why I'm not saying I'm the example you should look up to, right? Because one could argue, oh, why you talk about this, but you're not in a relationship. That's a fair assessment. But I don't call myself a leader like a lot of these red pill leaders. They call themselves the leaders. And they try to prescribe and advise men to behave in their way, right? So for me, I'm just trying to figure out them. I have discussions. I like doing podcasts because I get to explore and talk to guys that I believe that have the information and the answers that I don't have, and learn from them, improve. And maybe one day I'll get to a point and ultimately one day when I find my relationship and I get married, and maybe when I have enough evidence and confidence in the work and the effort I put in, that I believe that I qualify myself to finally speak up and say, hey, maybe I'll become that type of man that you can look up to. Hopefully that I can have that one day, but not right now. I'm still trying to figure things out. But I do know for a fact that it's better. The average guy is better off in a strong family with a good woman and having kids and having a good family and making sure that he's competent enough, he's put himself in a good place where he can provide for them, given the best life financially. And if you have that, then you have the best formula to have a successful relationship, right? And last long term. Because that's the only examples that I see when I talk to people who are still in long-term marriages, is they pick usually a guy that's still in his masculine, is in a leadership role. He chose a good woman and prioritizes his family and making sure that he gives his family the best quality.
Cracking. The mic is popping.
Oh, the mic is popping?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Is it better now?
No. Sounds horrible.
It sound better now? Let me see. Testing. No? What's going on here? Is it better now, Dark Knight?
I don't know if it's just me, but you got to look at the chat for the YouTube. It might be YouTube too.
Testing. I don't know. Milagros. It's not probably its homie's internet. Oh,
It's just robotic.
I think it's your internet connection, Dark Knight.
Oh, okay, so it's just me. All right.
Yeah, I think it's you.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the. So that's what I mean. I'm just talking about if Milagros going off on you, Dark Knight.
They're like he got that some McDonald's connection.
That's hilarious. So yeah, I think for me it's like, what does the average man want, right? He wants a good family, children. Oh, I want to ask you this: what are your thoughts on the passport bros? Because that's what I see it down the red pill. The passport bros. What are your thoughts on that one?
Me personally, I think you should learn game wherever you're at before you try to go anywhere, because it doesn't matter. Like you can go to Asia or South America and still do what you gotta do, but that don't mean you ain't gonna get. You can still get finessed, you know. So I think you should still take the time and learn how women operate and be careful. Just because it seems easier or it's more women there that are acting like women doesn't mean you should just go out there. Me personally, I don't think I'll really do it. I just don't have the need to
I
do
don't
it.
know.
At the same time, I'm not in that position to do it either. I gotta get that money up. So money changes things.
Yeah, I think the passport bros for me is I I think it's because I'm so hardcore when it comes to accountability. I think it's a way out for guys instead of taking accountability for the things they need to improve on to attract women here. They escape that by going somewhere else and thinking simp here. If you're a simp here, you're gonna be a simp over there, right? Doesn't matter. So if that I see a lot of these guys that they leave America and they go into a different country to find a more younger and beautiful feminine woman, and a lot of them do find them. A lot of them do find these women, but I think for me is I want to see what happens long term. Is that relationship going to last long term? Because the initial attraction is obviously we have to keep it 100. If a girl from a third world country sees a guy from America come be able to give her a better quality of life than the life that she's currently living in the third world country, and we all know that women, the female nature is hypergamy. They're gonna always find the best quality man they can get. Obviously, that girl is gonna be happy, right? So, and they're already naturally feminine, so that also makes the guy happy. But I would like to see how long that the passport bros relationships, how long they work, how long they last for long term. Because it looks good on the internet, and we all know social media is not really real on social media. But I would like to see how long that lasts. About the passport bros, that you see these guys, they go overseas and thinking that they just can find a woman, and and then once you get the woman, then everything is going to be okay. But the thing is, even if you get the woman, if you're going to be in a long-term relationship, then obviously there are going to be a certain things that's going to happen in a relationship where you as a man are going to be able to be on point, especially in your leadership skills, to be able to lead that woman. And I think when we finally get into when they in that relationship, when they finally experience the first argument, disagreement, or fight, if that man hasn't worked himself to improve to be in a masculine frame to be able to handle those conflicts in his leadership role, I think most of those passport bro guys are going to find out very hard that if they haven't put in the work on those things, they're going to still struggle the same way. They're still going to struggle the same way in that long-term relationship. So I don't know. I don't think that passport bro, I think it works for some guys, but I think for the majority of guys who try to do it, I think I would like to. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is working, but I would like to see how long most of those relationships last long term.
I think the
Hey,
only
how
way
about,
it works is if you keep them there and just get a really nice place in whatever country there is,
yeah.
and it's they're gonna want to come eventually. So I don't know. I don't think I'll do it either. I don't think it works. So who knows?
I had a question for you. Are there anything that you see in the red pill space that they take it as gospel? But you personally disagree with?
There's a few things. I'm trying to just get my thoughts in order. Damn. Personally,
Like
disagree.
what's the top one for you, like the on top of your head, like that something that you disagree with that's commonly known as a gospel value or principle in the red pill space?
I think I haven't really been paying attention, but it's off memory. There was I don't think this is gospel, but I hear it often. It's like you gotta sleep with like 50 chicks or something. I guess that one is.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's gospel though. I think that's just one or two creators that really say that. I would say I disagree with that. I don't think you need a. First of all, I think that's reckless. I think it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
And women to like even have that goal. But yeah, I guess that's one. Like you have to sleep with 50 chicks before you get married.
Yeah. I think I heard that on Fresh and Fit. I think Fresh and Fit is where I heard that the first time. Where I think their requirement was like save up 100K.
6
I
months
think-
in savings, something like that.
Yeah. 6 months in savings and have 50 women. Have 50 bodies. I think that was the requirement to finally to be able to take that next level as a man, to be, I guess, considered to be a high value man. Like, it was a long time ago. I can't remember the specific that podcast, but yeah, what I see in the red pill is what they tell most guys is to sleep with as many women as you can, right? And I think for me, and I disagree because there's just too many consequences, right? Now, I will say this. I think for men, you should try to date. I think for men, we should date with purpose. I think you should be able to date as many women as you can. And if you and I'm all about accountability, right? I'm all about accountability, and of course, just I think for me, it's just date as many women as you can, because we have to get experience. That's the only way you get better with women, is like you have to go out there and experience women, talking to women, communicating with women. And my thing is, if ultimately your goal is to find a good quality woman and find a good quality marriage, then obviously that's how you should be able to. Then your selection process should be dating as many good quality women as you can, right? And then of course, if you decide to have sex with that woman, just be accountable, right? Make sure you protect yourself. Either she takes the pill, there's a lot of things that you can do to make sure that you don't end up impregnating a woman that you're probably not ready to be in a committed relationship for. But most guys, just going out there and just doing it raw with a lot of women, right? So that I guess that's my only problem, because that's just the way I see it. Because the ultimate goal is, if your ultimate goal is to find a good woman, if your ultimate goal is to have a good family, then you should be able to, for both men and women, then we should behave in a way to make sure that you make the best choices to attract that and that outcome. And having sex with 50 girls is not going to be I don't think it's going to be the best strategy to not only find a good woman and also build a good marriage, but also make sure that you guys have something long term. Obviously, if you're sleeping with 50 women, one of those girls is going to end up being a single mom. That's just a fact, right? You're going to end up impregnating multiple.
The path to get to that, you breaking a few hearts. There's
exactly.
Destroying. Like, there's no way you can get to that without breaking at least one. And then she's gonna break like 50 other guys' hearts, and it's just a train reaction. It just
exactly
it hurts everyone. It doesn't really help anyone, honestly.
And also, if you're sleeping with 50 women, then obviously your standards in the type of women you're choosing is pretty low, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're obviously you're attracting these women and you're having sex with them easily, then usually those types of women are, the 304s, or the women that you find at the clubs or the bars, women who, those are usually the low quality women. But women who have the high quality women, the good quality women that you want, who have good standards for themselves and they want to be good mothers, they want a family, you won't be able to go out there and easily have sex with 50 high quality women. That's almost damn near impossible. But it's easy to have sex with 50 low quality women who have issues and traumas and have no self-respect for themselves. Yeah, it's easy to find those women. So oftentimes, oftentimes I do hear a lot of guys, because what do they tell guys? Hey, go out there and sleep with as many women as you can. But then on the same podcast, on the same podcast, I often hear especially with the red pill content creator platforms, they complain about women being in relationship with women that will blackmail them or try to trap them, right? Or try to, the Me Too movement, right? They'll have sex with you now, and then they'll call, they'll change their mind later, right? Right, and they make content about it. They make a live stream about it. Yeah, that's what happens when you sleep with women without vetting them. You're gonna run into those crazy chicks. You're gonna run into those chicks that are taking your money. You're gonna run into those chicks that, once they find out that you move on to the next chick, she's gonna call. Oh, you know what? He assaulted me that night. I didn't give him consent. That's what happens when you have sex with women who have no values and no standards. And you obviously they see you moving on to the next chick, and when women feel hurt and feel scorned, they're gonna try to get back at you, right? So oftentimes I hear guys go ahead, Dark Knight.
I think that does have to change. I think we can't like protest this and then be okay with it on the other side. But you brought an interesting point though, as far as like women just I gotta make sure I gotta say this properly. When women like sleep with a guy that they like and they find out that that's not how it is, it's too easy for them nowadays to tarnish that man's reputation, whether he's a good or bad man. But it's the game we got to play, and sometimes you just got to be smarter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is if you're just sleeping with low quality women, then then you're gonna get low quality behavior and reaction from these women, right? So these women, obviously, once you move on to the next girl, obviously they're gonna react in a way. They're gonna try to do things that's gonna destroy your reputation, or they're gonna try to do things that's gonna hurt you, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or your reputation with your social circle. Yeah, women who have no standards or have no good morals and values of what is right or wrong, that's what they do. That's usually what they do, or they'll lie about it. They'll create a lie, right? Usually that's why I hear from a lot of guys. They try to find a case. Oh man, these girls just lying about the whole thing. Well, usually girls that's low quality girls, they don't have integrity, man. When you deal with low quality women, they don't have good moral values. They probably didn't come from a good family. Probably didn't have a good, strong male figure in their life to teach them some good morals, to make sure that they don't lie. But if you're gonna sleep with that many women, 50, then you're probably gonna run into some crazy low women with low character, and you're gonna attract a lot of problems. So you may have a high body count, but is having a high body count worth just finding a good woman and just being in a good relationship and starting a family that's gonna last forever? Like, would you trade? Are you gonna trade a good woman over 50 bodies? I don't know. That's a conversation I think that often that doesn't happen. So yeah, there's just a lot of. The only thing I find I agree with the red pill space is just the self-improvement part, right? The teaching guys how to get their finances. I think that the red pill does a great job. I think the Fresh and Fit does a great job with that. Teaching guys about finances, taxes.
They
how to
might be
make
the only red pill type of channel that even does that, because all the other creators do it too, but they do it on their Patreons. They do it on a Discord. They you got to pay to get that info. But Fresh and Fit, they honestly, most of it is free. Most of it, you just got to click the video.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree. Like anything when it comes to self-improvement, I agree with helping guys lose weight, their health, fashion choices, networking, how to network with other highly successful men. So all those things, I think I agree with that, the self-improvement part. I think the content they make as far as attracting women, I don't have a problem with that, because I think one of the guys I do like to follow his content is what's his name? Who's that white guy? Who's that white guy that always hangs around Tate?
He hangs around who?
Andrew Tate.
The white guy Sterling Cooper.
No, the other guy. There's another guy. Say it again.
Jay Waller, Justin Waller.
Yeah, Justin Waller. Yeah. No, I think he talked about it on his on one of his clips. Like, it's not about pursuing women; it's just attracting women. If you do the work, you can attract women, right? You're not supposed to go out there and pursue women on the sacrifice of your purpose and goals and things that you definitely need to work on as a man. Just do the work, and then the women will naturally come. And if you have some kind of mental frame and standards, you should be able to handle that. But I think the attracting the women and building yourself up as a man to be more competent, be more highly successful, and to network with other men. I think that they do a great job in the red pill space. But I think the part that I don't see I think that's lacking is just the maintaining maintaining their selection of the types of women they choose to come into their life, and also how to maintain a relationship long term. I think that's why I don't see. I think if the red pill would be able to provide that quantity and quality of content to kind of balance out everything else, I think that would help. Um, but but we don't see that at all. All they see is the worst types of women, the worst types of situations, men who have just had the worst bad experiences with women, and that forms their perception of what most modern women are. Look, I'll say this I'll say this to you, Dark Knight. Even though I see on social media about the modern women, right? Because right, but I'm very selective with the types of women that I choose to be with, but I don't see that outside of the women on my podcast that either in the studio or on the virtual podcast that I do online. When I go out there into the real world, I don't meet the types of women that you see on the internet.
Me either.
I don't. That's why I tell guys all the time. You have to go out there to the real world and experience it. Like, you can't. The internet is a bubble. I think so many guys, they just live through the internet, so they don't go experience it. Now, if I went to a bar, if I went to a nightclub, obviously I'm going to run into like a lot of the types of women that you guys see and hear about on social media. But when I'm in my social circle, I keep my social circle small. I only go to places that only benefits me and helps me improve as a man. I don't hang around I only hang around high quality people and choose to be around in those types of atmospheres. But in my experience right now, I don't run into those. I have never met a girl that people would describe as those modern 304s on online. I've never met those types of women. It's just I've only seen those women in the clubs, in the bars, in the parties. But obviously, I don't even do that at all, because that's just a waste of time for me. I'm way past that. But that's the thing. I think it's crazy when you go out there and meet girls in real life. The average girl, they're not like the types of women that you see online. So obviously, when I hear guys all the time say, "Oh, that's all the women I see," is like, is that all the women you see, or just the types of women you see online? Because if you go out there to the real world and approach women, there are a lot of good women out there. Good, gentle, feminine, submissive. You find a lot of women like that out there like that. But if like I said, if your experience of women is only on what you see on social media or the club or the parties, then obviously, then that's why you're gonna attract and get. And obviously you can't wife those types of women when you meet them in those certain situations. But you said that you experienced the same thing. Can you, like, when you go out there in real life, you don't see the women that you usually that's seen on the red pill space?
I rarely see them, if not at all. I don't know if it's because I'm just working more and I don't go out as much. But even like in college, like, actually, now that I think about it, college is probably a bad example. I've probably seen a lot of those 304s.
Oh yeah, I mean, in college, yeah.
Now after graduating and just getting suited up and all that, I don't really see that anymore. I just I only see it online. I really rarely see it. Even when I go to the bars and stuff, most of the chicks, they're not that much different. They're not crazy 304s.
Yeah, I mean, when I go to the bars and the clubs, like I'm not even thinking about like dating any of these chicks at all.
I'm vibing. I'm chilling like this.
But it's crazy. Some guys will go to a club and bar purposely trying to find a girl. Obviously, some guys are just going out there, to find some sex. But I've seen some guys like they go there to the clubs hoping to meet a girl, right? Because we all know the percentages, right? We all know the percentages. Most of the guys who go to the club, there's only a small, probably like 10% of those guys in the clubs are actually good with women, so they're gonna probably have that best chance of being laid. The average guy at the club, he's getting no attention from none of these girls. So most of these guys at the club, like they're just hoping to meet a girl, and if they happen to meet a girl by chance at the club, those are the guys who like try to go in a relationship with these girls at the club, right? So and I've seen it all the time. Like, yeah, when I'm at the club or when I go to an event when there's a lot of drugs or alcohol, which it has been a long time because I don't go to those types of places. But in my back of my mind, I'm just here. I'm not even thinking about meeting a girl and dating a girl. No. But most.
What was the first instance of I don't know if you talked about it earlier. When was your first instance of red pill rage? Like what your origin, your awakening, and your rage. Like how was that? Like how did that happen?
No, I never went through a red pill rage.
Really?
But yeah, like I just remember I will be honest. I just remember when I found the red pill space. I think it was 2 years ago. Was just I just left a previous experience with the girl, and I remember when I saw the red pill content for the first time, there was something in me was telling me, you know what? See, it wasn't my fault. It was hers. Because when I finally understood like the female nature and when they broke it down, so with the statistics and the facts, I remember, but there was no anger like, oh yeah, F women. I never went through a red pill rage where I was just like, oh, F women, all women are the same, all women are trash.
I was pissed. It was so hard to accept. I was mad. I'm surprised to go through it because I feel like most men, they go through that red pill rage. For me, it didn't last that long. It's probably just like a month. But then after that, I was like, it's just how it is. There's no reason to really be mad or bitter. Just move on.
I think part of it for me was I never experienced red pill rage because I don't have problems attracting women. I mean, just look back at my life. I'm pretty successful as far as if attracting women, getting attracted from women. I mean, luckily, I have the genetics from my parents, but I've always been a hard worker and I've always been driven and been really done really well financially. So I've never had a problem with just attracting women. It was just I think for me, my biggest problem was growing up in Western society and not being in a masculine frame. I think that's what hurt because if you grow up in the West, what they tell you when you go in a relationship with a woman is like, put the woman on a pedestal instead of being a leader.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah. So I had that mindset when it came to like my experiences with women, and obviously
you got comfortable. You got soft. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you just probably got comfortable and got soft, and that's when.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't taking the leadership role. I wasn't being assertive in my relationships because in my mind, what growing up in America was like, hey,
what you've been taught.
Just put the girl on the pedestal. Just listen to her to whatever she wants. Don't be assertive. No, I don't. I have a different mindset now, but that's. But I remember when I found the red pill content for the first time. That's what came in. What I felt was like, oh man, I was trying to like put the blame on the woman, but then not looking within myself. It's like, no, I messed up. Like it was on me. It's my fault. There was a lot of things in my past experience of women that I could have done or could have changed. How I handled that role, especially the type of role I need to play. And yeah, but I never went through a radio. It was like, oh, all women are trash. All women are the same. No, I never went through that.
Do you think the red pill in 10 years will be how feminism is like treated and responded to now?
Yeah. And Milagros, the 15 minutes, you said 15 minutes. And it's been, I think, 20, 25 minutes, Milagros.
She's not joining. She don't got it in her. She ain't
I know.
coming.
I know. Come on, Milagros. I know you like to talk. I know you know, if you got something to say, we gotta back it up. Whether we agree, disagree, Milagros, but yeah, jump on. We got a couple more minutes before I end the stream.
Will,
But I think it's gonna be worse. I think the red pill space is gonna be a lot worse than it is now, because I don't see any changes. Because I think what's necessary, what's needed in the red pill space is just more examples of healthy, strong relationships, and examples of guys knowing how to maintain a relationship and seeing that and hearing that. So I think one of my goals for my podcast, eventually down the line, I want to like invite more couples who are in long-term relationships, and then
if you get Paula Fessa on with his wife, that'll be pretty solid.
No, because one of the telltale signs, and I think Milagros brought up Michael Certain, right? I think Milagros, I saw in the chat, he said Michael Certain was an example. But I think for me, one of the telltale signs you can see if a man is truly leading and a man's being that true masculine man in the relationship and that woman respects her, is how that woman, and when they're in it together in a setting, you can look at the behavior between the man and the woman and how they interact with each other, right? Because usually feminine women who really respect their man, you can tell when they're having a conversation or they're in a room with you, that you can tell. You can just look about the behavior of the woman. You can just look at them, the way they look up to their man, or especially waiting for their man to speak first, or they don't, they let the man be the man and she's just there to support him. You can see that dynamic, especially when they're together. And one of the things I saw I don't know if you saw this clip, but there was a clip of Michael Certain with this girlfriend, and then her girlfriend just lashed out and just started lashing out at my on the podcast, like and just started misbehaving with Michael Certain right next to her, right? So for me, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that told me a lot, because
no brain.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But Milagros right here is using Michael Certain as an example. But then, like I told you before, a woman who respects her man will not do that on a public setting, on a public platform, and embarrass her man like that. And Michael Certain had to look on this Milagros right there.
Oh, she showed up. I'm shook.
Hello.
Hey, Milagros, did you see that? What I'm talking about with the Michael Certain with the
podcast, and I know they brought it up again during. I think the next day he was on Fresh and Fit, and someone sent a super chat.
Yeah.
And told him about it. And I think his problem is, and I think it's a problem with some of the guys in the red pill that are in also that party space, that they let their girls drink.
No.
That's not.
And she, I mean, if you saw it, like he shot her a look, and she immediately stopped. And then the whole podcast was 3 hours, and she was pretty much quiet. You can tell she was like, oh, I fucked up, and she did. I don't think that was right at all, but she hasn't done it since, because I watch a lot of his stuff that he's on. I don't watch his particular podcast, but I watch the stuff that he's on. He brings her on often because she is She's only like 20, 22, I think.
Yeah.
So she's half his age, and she's beautiful. So, and she helps a lot with his, like, I think his thing was like saying that she needs to be like improving herself. Like, it can't just be like, oh, I want a bag. Like, I want a $3,000 bag. Like, you have to ask for like, oh, you want $3,000 worth in books, or pay for a class or something that's going to improve my life.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I used him as an example because you're saying like none of them are in a relationship. But
Well,
he
yeah,
is
but
in one.
well, I'm talking about traditional relationship, because I know Michael Sertain, he's in a
It's
relationship with her.
open.
It's
Yeah.
open, right? So I wouldn't
And they're not married.
because the average guy can't be in the level where he can be in an open relationship with
No,
her.
and that's why I was saying earlier, I said it depends what's in your tax bracket. So you're not in a tax bracket to have multiple women.
Exactly.
If you are in a tax bracket to have multiple women, then you can literally say goodbye to them. Like, okay, well then go on. Like, go find someone that is average that can only obtain you. And I will say this, I don't think that bragging that you're a faithful man I don't think that's something worth bragging for, because you're just telling me that like, if my man was like, oh, I don't need anybody, or I don't have to have anyone else, and I don't, all this stuff, it's like, okay, you're just telling me that no other woman wants you. Like, that's all you're telling me. Like, you can't obtain other women. Like, there's something called discipline. Yes, I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you are getting married under the vow, you have to have, this is also a matter of discussion between couples. Like, you have to understand that, like, you have to agree on things before you make commitments.
Yeah.
And you can't just go into it. And I think men that have money that are in a different tax bracket make it very clear. They make it very clear, like, I'm gonna do this, this, and this for you, but I am allowed to do what I want. And you as a woman have to agree, like, okay, do I want to be in this situation, or do I want to be with an average guy who is probably going to make me work while pregnant, is probably going to make me go back to work after I have my babies, who is probably going to be a 50-50 guy, who's probably going to want to clean the house and do the 50-50 chores because he doesn't want to participate in all of that. And so it's like, no, I personally don't want that. But I've always talked to you about this. Like, I come from a different country. In a different country, and it's only in the Western world that this exists, where women are put on such a pedestal where it's like, oh, monogamy is like the best thing you could do for a woman, when in reality, women are a motivation for men. So if you let your man like step out, right? And what are they really getting? They're getting fucked and left. Like, what are you getting? You're getting the house, you're getting taken care of, you're getting the babies, you're getting the lifetime commitment of you're good. Like, nothing is going to happen to you. And it's obviously a matter of respect. Don't let it be someone I know. Let it be some random girl. Don't ever let me find out. Like, I think that's what women care about, because women don't like embarrassment, because women are about their feels, right? They're always in their feelings. So they just don't want to be embarrassed. I always joked with people, because I was with him, a very egalitarian relationship from my early 20s till I was for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I thought that that's what relationships were about, because of the society that's telling me, oh, you're a strong, independent woman. You got this. You don't need a man. You want a man, all this stuff. No, you're a woman. You need a fucking man. I don't give a damn what you say. If you sit there and say, oh, I don't need a man, I want a man. No, 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 no. Those girls cry themselves to sleep at night. So when I was in that relationship, after I left, I had started saying things like, if cheating made him a better man, I wish he would have just fucking cheated. because it would have made it easier for him to be like, okay, if I lift myself up in this area of my life and in this area in my life, I will obtain more women. And I can still support my girl, and it's just motivation for you guys. It's very primal. And everywhere in the world outside of the Western society, it happens. I mean, right next door to where I'm at in Mexico, it exists. Like, there's men with like, if they have the means, they will do it. And there's men that are scumbags that don't have the means, and that's who you were talking about. Those are scumbags. But whose fault is that? Whose fault is that really? Is that really the man's fault when he's acting in his instinct to have sex? Or is it a woman's fault to be like, yeah, we'll have sex and we'll have unprotected sex and I'll let you nut in me and I won't tell you I'm ovulating this week and and I won't be using birth control and I won't take the plan B. I won't take the initiative to actually protect myself, because even though this is a good time, you are not a good guy, and they know that. Like, they know that. My job, I've held the hands of women for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard all of it. Like, they know what they're doing, and that's not a man's fault. I'm never gonna think a man is gonna say no to sex. Like, if you really think that a man is gonna say no to sex, you are stupid. You're a stupid ass woman. Like, if you think a man is saying yes to sex to you because he loves you, you're about to get hurt. And thinking that you're gonna retain him by having sex with him or having a child with him or anything like that is dumb. So those are scumbags that leave their women and all that stuff. But those are two people that are making dumb decisions. There's a dumbass woman that's opening her legs for a guy that she knows is no good. And there's a no good guy that is going to do what he's going to do, which is his primal instinct. And the people that are having multiple relationships, this is very prominent in the Muslim community, very prominent in other cultures where men just have multiple women, and like the women don't complain because they're taken care of. I always laugh when people talk shit about Elon Musk. And they're like, oh, he has so many baby mamas and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, none of them are complaining besides you. Like, none of Elon Musk's baby mamas are on the internet saying like, I wish he would just commit to me. Like, they just know their place, and they're Western women. They just know, I have a good ass life with this man, and my children have a good ass life, and I'm good. And that should be the woman's main priority, is how am I, just like your priority is to spread your seed and have more children. My priority is to preserve my seed and for them to have a good life. So I'm not going to be with a loser. I'm going to be with a guy who can provide, who can do what he can do to give me the greatest life, so I can give my child the greatest life. Because for the first 5 years, it's all on me. I'm not, a man is not here like daddy daycare all day long. Like, that's a woman's job.
No, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with, I don't disagree with the high quality man. Obviously, if a man is if a certain level of status, they're always gonna attract.
And it's just money status. It doesn't have to be anything else.
Yes. Well, social or economical status.
It's economical because you can't feed a baby on social status. Like, I don't give a shit how many followers you have. Like, I'm not gonna have your baby if you have 40 million followers. No, but like, how much money are you bringing in a yearly? Yeah.
So economic status. So I understand that part, right? I understand that women have, since the beginning of time, have always pursued the top percentage of men. No, I think for me I think the problem is I always look for what's best for society as a whole. And the thing is, like, from women, I don't have a problem with women pursuing the top level men, but the problem is, like, you already know this, that there's only 20% of men like that. So if 80% of women are going to pursue the 20% of men, there's not enough men for them to give committed relationships to all those 80% of women.
And not all 80% of those women deserve those men.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Probably at least 40% of those 80, at least 40% of them don't know how to cook. So how are you useful?
Probably the top 20% of those 80% of women deserve that 20% of men. And
I would say like 12.
Yeah.
I would say like 12, and they're all like probably in the
maybe the top 10% is like, they're ready. They're experts. And then the next 20%, like, they're still figuring shit out, but they're getting
and
there.
then also you have, like I said, I've always, like, I had a stay-at-home mom. Like, I was raised right. I had two parents, and I had joy, like, going home and cooking and everything. But society was telling me, like, you need a man like this. You need a man that's not going to control you, and that all those words, like those trigger words, submissive, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And even though I enjoyed my space in that, it was difficult to be me, to be my feminine self in an environment where the man was not being a man. Like, I was tired. I was working I was leaving the house earlier than him, and he was still an hour away from work, and I was already clocking in by the time he woke up, and I was coming home an hour later. I was picking up shifts, and I was still cooking. I was, you're trying to do it all, because it makes me feel good. But I think modern men in this society are doing the same thing. They're trying to, like you were saying, like, they're trying to please the woman and also at the same time be a high value man. And it's like, no, like, if you just take care of you, dude, like, that is easy. Like, I don't like the fact that my man is 45 and he goes to the gym every day. Like, I know 20-year-olds that don't do that. So I'm like, that's so attractive. He's not doing it for me. He's done it for himself for the last 30 plus years. Like, that's just him. That's just who he is. So it's like, if more men were on that way where it's like, it's men are just doing their own thing, women retaining a woman is easy. And then honestly, the best thing you could do if a woman acts up is like, okay, if you don't want this, then leave. Like, go find something better. Like, and they're not going to. I promise you, like I said, I've been dealing with women for 10 years. Like, they leave these guys that are pretty good. Like, no man is perfect. No woman is perfect. And I think women don't understand that either. They all look for Prince Charming and Mr. Perfect, these fucking Disney movies.
I know for most men, obviously, like, for most men, when we self-improve, of course we do it for ourselves, but we also have understanding that we know that we as we improve as men, we have better chances and with attracting women, right? We understand that also as well. But I think the reason why a lot of these guys, especially the young guys on the red pill space, like the reason why a lot of these guys are not pursuing that self-improvement, because they just believe that the women are not worth it no more. Because all the examples that they see from the type of content they consume is that modern woman. So,
but even the average woman is not worth it, because the average woman doesn't want to cook.
But that's where I guess we disagree, because my experience in the types of women where I meet in real life and the women I see on social media is totally different. I don't meet those.
You see their actions, or do you just see what they're saying?
I see it with their actions.
Well, that's good. I mean, then you're seeing something. But I
also don't go to the clubs. I also don't meet these women at the clubs, because usually when I see a lot of the modern guys, right, they talk about, oh, I don't meet quality women, but then when you see where they meet these types of women, it's low quality settings.
Oh, 100%. I joke with my husband all the time that I'm like, when he takes me to these places that I've never been, I was like, you were looking for your wife here.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's. I think there's a
but do you see the disconnect, right? So we all know that most guys are just living through the internet. They're not going out there and using the information that they learn on the red pill space to go pursue. And I think that's what's happening is a lot of these guys, because they're not getting active experience in real life, all they see is these women on social media, and they think that's a representation of all women out here in the dating world, which is not a fact, because there are good women out there, but those good women are not on podcasts at 3 a.m. at fucking in the morning doing a fucking podcast talking about sex and shaking their booty. Right? They're at home. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess and as a man, if you don't think that women are worth it no more, there's no incentive for you to self-improve. Obviously,
but that's what I think they're trying to say, is that whose fault is that? Is that really, like, I know you're saying like they're attacking women, but it's also, as a man, you're hiding behind likes and fire emojis. Like, and most good women are not on Instagram.
Exactly. They're not.
And they're not on. They're definitely not on dating sites, because dating sites are low. It's low
The worst.
maintenance
Yeah.
for low maintenance people. So it's like you're trying to find a beautiful house and you're buying sight unseen on a website. Like, it's not going to work out like that. So I definitely think it's the red pill is just teaching men how to put themselves out there. I don't think that that's a bad thing that you have to use hoes to practice on, like, because honestly, we all kind of function the same. Like, we all function the same way. Like, you guys are talking about female nature. Um, you know, my man is 45. He was never married, no children. So he's played the field. And if he was able to play the field, with, girls that he just wanted for one night and me, that means he knew something. But that's also a different generation. Gen
Yeah.
X had to, make the phone call. They had to approach the girl. They had to do it was a different generation.
They have to get real life experience. They have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these
But-
men don't want to. I
but-
think it's that they don't want to, and then they don't understand. And I don't think that the red pill rage is a bad thing. I think sometimes anger is a motivation for you guys. If it at least gets you in the gym, because these dudes these days in their 20s are so scrawny. And I'm like, if it at least gets you in the gym, then maybe we're going somewhere. If it at least pushes you to do an extra 2 hours of overtime, then maybe we're seeing something. But men are failing in this society. It's not fair. And if they have a community that's trying to help them move up, and the best way that you guys do it is not by being nice to them. You're not women. You guys don't get motivation by being talked to like softly and everything. You guys get you guys talk to each other like crap. Like, you're like, you fat piece of shit. Like, go to the gym. Like, you guys talk to each other like that, so you would get motivated. And I think that's healthy. Like, you need a space because there's no space for you guys.
I know you just said about there's nothing wrong with practicing on a hoe, man. That's
just wild.
so man, that's tough. But no, my issue. No, I guess I'm always looking for what's best for society. That's my framework of how I see things. And my problem with the red pill is I see them complain about single moms, right? All these women are single moms. They don't want to be housewives no more. But then there are certain behaviors they encourage men to do. It's also creating the very problem they complain about.
But who's the gatekeeper, Will?
The
Who's
gatekeeper?
the gatekeeper?
The gatekeeper are the women.
Okay, so then why is it a man's fault if a woman gets pregnant? There's 12 forms of birth control. Abortion is legal in majority of the states.
I know.
Like, there's adoption. Like, I don't understand why this is a problem. Like, if women just said no, it wouldn't happen because it would be rape.
I understand that. I understand that. But
And
for me,
you are like, I'm 29 years old, and I got to 29 never on birth control. I've never been on birth control. I've always tracked myself. I had a very old mom.
Yeah.
And I never got pregnant. How is it that I can do it? How is it that my cousins can do it? How is it that other women can get to 29, get to 35 and not have children, and some women can't? Because they're irresponsible. It's just very simple.
I understand that, but for me, the reason why I put the accountability on men, if you're going to talk to men, for me personally, what is a better way to tell him to make sure that he has a better chance to improve his life? Put that accountability on the man, or telling him that put the accountability on the woman? I say it's better to tell the man, you know what? I know there's a lot of women out there. I know women that go gatekeepers of sex. I agree. But I think it's way better, especially for the men who are in the bottom, who are struggling. It's better to tell them, hey, you know what? Take accountability. It's you. Put that responsibility on you.
Because America has a big problem with thirst. Men are thirsty right now. So if a woman's going to let you hit it raw, like, definitely don't trust her.
Exactly.
Definitely do not trust her.
Yeah, but I would hear, but then of course the guy was like, well, I mean, women are gatekeepers of sex. He's the one that had sex with me. But I think it's just better especially for the men who are struggling, and the men at the bottom. It's way better for them to hear the message that, hey, put everything on you. I know the world's unfair. I know that we have the Me Too movement, we have feminism. I know that we have disadvantages as men in society, especially when it comes to alimony, child support, divorce. I know it sucks being a fucking man in modern day society, but you know what? Fuck that. Take accountability. Learn. Put that on yourself. Be aware of the type of choices that you make. Be aware of the type of women that you're around. Like be aware of what you do with your life, because one small mistake, and obviously we can see it on the red pill space, can destroy your life as a man. I think men, it's better for them to put that responsibility on themselves, accountability, than just telling the message, you know what, it's the woman's fault. And then
But those baby mamas, when they talk shit about their baby daddies,
yeah,
on those podcasts, it always sounds like their baby daddies ain't shit. So I'm like, I don't think we're talking to a group of men that want to improve. We're talking to a group of men that are okay with being just passing by and just being average. So it's like, yeah, no, we can tell them in the red pill space, this is how you should maneuver yourself, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, men have a primal instinct to have sex with multiple women. They're not going to stop. So as a woman, you need to understand that men are never going to say no to sex. You're never going to retain a man if you give them sex. You're never going to retain a man if you give them a child. It's not going to happen that way. That's not how you keep them. But society is telling me as a woman, oh, you can have sex with whoever you want, blah, blah, blah. You're the queen girl. You deserve this. You can have sex with whoever you want. And you are also deserving of a high quality man, which is two very wrong things to tell a woman. And then they're telling men, oh, you should do what a woman wants, all this stuff, and be the nice guy and da 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 da. And it's not working out for either one of us. But I don't think that giving a space to men who right now in the US, the majority of men haven't had sex in a year and are addicted to porn, which they're just going to go back to it. You guys have to have it. You guys have to freaking bust a nut. It's in your freaking primal instinct. It's just it. One time a guy explained it to me. He's like, it's like poison in my body and I need to get it out. And I'm like, well, that makes sense, because and even Louis C.K. made the joke. It's like all these guys that have like shot up schools or shot up, have been mass shooters or have killed people. He's like, maybe they just needed a hand job. So it's like, you have an instinct to have sex, and that's a requirement almost for you.
I'll share a funny story. I used to work in sales, my previous career, and I was the sales manager, and I had a underperforming sales rep on my team, and he couldn't write a sale to save his life. But then I found out that he was I guess somebody told me that he was a virgin, and there was a girl on my team who she didn't care, like she just liked to sleep around, and I just kind of hinted to her, hey, I think. What's his name? Edwin, I think was it. I don't know what's his name, but I forgot.
Don't out him.
But he's probably he probably don't watch this podcast. But I told him, hey, can you check out Edwin? Because we went on a road trip, and then I just go hang out with Edwin. And then I remember she went and slept with him that night. The very next day, he rolled like 10 sales.
You guys need it. It's okay. Like only women that are angry at it are the women that are living the life of I can have sex with whoever I want and I deserve a quality man. Yeah. Those are the only women that are angry at it because they want to have their cake and eat it too. And it doesn't go that way. It doesn't go that way in the real world. I think right now we're too fucking lost that if more men did the pass support bro thing, valued themselves more, because even if you that delusional calculator, I always like to show men, like I put their stats in and I'm like, look at how much of a percentage you are. You're only 13% of the population. That means a woman would be so lucky to have you. I don't think men know that. I don't think men know that. So because they're competing with a girl that's consistently looking for attention, because attention is like our currency and it's so easy to come by on social media. So yes, there might be good women out there and I understand that, but if more, like this next year, 30, all the 30-year-old women, 30 and above, are going to be, it's going to be for the first time ever in the US, 50% of them are going to be childless and not married. So we're going to see the stuff that's happening on that. And I think men need to go and just go their own way. I don't think I would be with my husband if he was 45 and not doing anything for 45 years, but he was 45, building himself, being a, he was a dog. I know he was a party, he was in the scene, whatever. He was doing his thing, and that's what makes him attractive. So it's like, you guys have time. You guys have the time to do it. I know I told you, I was like, oh, you want everyone to be in a relationship, but you're not in a relationship. But it doesn't matter. You have the time. You can wait till you're 40, especially if you keep going to the gym, you keep improving yourself, all that stuff. You can have a honey that's 15 years younger than you. Like, so you're good.
What do you, I mean, let me ask you, Milagros, what do you think is a solution? Like,
the solution is for you guys to stop giving the attention to the women and start giving the attention to yourselves and start understanding how valuable you are, because there's millions of beautiful women. There's girls that turn 18 every single day, and the youth just makes you prettier. And I think that there's enough of us. There's not enough of you guys. And if you start telling us no, you start telling porn no, you start telling the party life no, the drugs, the alcohol, the clout, and you just focus on you, it's the good women come. The good women are easy to come by. And if you even act like that and you just go out, dude, they just they know, like, we can smell the masculine. Like, after smelling all these bitches all day, like, we can smell the masculine, and the pheromone is like so attractive. So it's like, no, I think the men going their own way is necessary, even if that requires them to go to a different country. My husband was 3 months away from going to Mexico and finding a wife before he met me. So, well, before he committed to me. So like, that's real, and he could have done that, and he would have probably gotten someone younger than me, someone who probably cooked better than me, somebody who was probably, and that's just realistic. Like, and I know that makes me like appreciate him even more. So if women knew, like, if they knew they weren't the center of attention, and they knew you guys could just go wherever you wanted to and you'd be fine, we would be in line. And we're not in line right now.
I think the example, I believe there's what men need, and is right now just more examples of masculinity. I think that can
100%. Why do you think Andrew Tate blew up?
Yeah, exactly. That's why Andrew Tate blew up, right? So I think this, to solve a lot of the issues with promiscuity, OnlyFans, the single motherhood rate, I think it's ultimately gonna come down to strong men and just creating strong nuclear families. Because I know America right now is trying to break down the nuclear family, but I know it's gonna be a difficult process. But I think if more men can just create strong nuclear families for themselves and make sure they raise their kids right and protect them from all this bullshit that they see from the woke left, all the ideologies to poison young girls and young guys to act in a way that doesn't help them attract strong relationships. I think ultimately, I believe that's just the example. We just need more men to step up, show more examples of masculinity, because there's a deep hunger and thirst and for a lot of these young guys that they're just trying to
And either way, you no man's path is the same as one man's path. Yeah. So if you as a man want to have children, you want to be married and all that stuff, congratulations, you still have to be masculine. If you want to just be a dog and you want to go out there and roam the streets and you want to be on your own terms, you still have to be masculine. So it doesn't matter where the message is coming from, as long as we just get you guys to a point where you stay in your masculine and we stay in our feminine. Once you stay in your masculine, we don't have a choice. Like, I
don't think that the masculinity part is not as necessary as to get the women, because obviously we see today people don't have standards when it comes to sex. Girls will just fuck anything, and the guys will fuck anything. I think,
But we are looking for masculine men.
Well, yeah,
too.
but I think
It's lacking. It's lacking. Trust me.
No. I'm saying is where the masculinity has the biggest profound effect is sustaining that relationship long term, right? So that's where masculinity really comes in. I believe that's where it has the biggest effect, because if you're in your masculine as a man, and you obviously you chose a good quality woman, and you know how to lead, and you're competent, and you kind of plan, and you're taking care of all the providing and protecting, that relationship is going to last, right? So I think that's where, for me, is masculinity is important. Obviously, it's important to attract women, but I think for me, it's more important to sustain that woman long term.
Yeah, just like women get too comfortable and they gain 100 pounds after having one child. Yeah, definitely. You need to retain your feminine.
Yeah.
And men need to retain their masculine, So it's like, yeah, we can't get comfortable. We have to stay in our roles.
Because today, because of hookup culture, and you don't really have to be masculine to get sex. And girls will fuck, they're just, if they can't get the masculine.
Well, not everyone's 6 feet and has a built like you. I think a lot of men do still struggle to have sex. So like don't sit on your high horse too much, But
no,
the
I'm just saying
the dryer alarm just went off, so I've got to go take care of that.
Yeah.
But it was nice talking to you. I will come back on when I have better headset and I'm home and I'm home more. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Milagros. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Have a good night. All right. Dark Knight.
Yeah, there was 2 things I wanted to bring up before she left. But she can't even rebuttal now. But I think she brought up like the red pills, like the only ones that really have a rotation, like the guys up top as far as the tax bracket. Man, It's like you'd be surprised. So many guys have got nothing. Got all these women paying for them, all because he slings this, slings that. And then most of their responses, well, they most likely won't keep them long term. So you'd be surprised. And then another thing is like, I believe it's lazy to give men a pass for solely acting on their primal instincts. To me, that's very similar to guys that, I can't stop jacking off watching porn because I need a poison out. I think it's lazy. I think, yes, like you do have that purpose to procreate and all that stuff, but just because there is an instinct to do so doesn't mean it's right. If anything, being a man is having that discipline to understand when and not to.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, that is a very good point. Just because it's biological, it's primal, doesn't necessarily mean we have to act on it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, every girl we walk down the street, every single pretty girl, we're gonna notice it. We're gonna notice it, but we're gonna notice it because that's our biological instinct to notice attractive women and younger women, But doesn't mean we act on it. I think that is a good point.
Disagreed with her, but I didn't get the chance to talk.
You gotta jump on, man. You gotta when Milagros on here, I just gotta
cut her off.
Yeah, just gotta cut her off, man. Just gotta cut her off and say your point. No, that's true. That is true. You gotta yeah, just because it's biological doesn't mean that I think that what separates us from animals is like we have a conscience and we have agency, right? We can choose. All right. We can choose what's better, what's going to be better for you, what's going to be better for your children. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think as men, we have to hold ourselves to higher standards, especially when it comes to the family, right? Because if you're a successful guy, you're going to get attraction from a lot of women. But I think what's important, I think, is your children and your family and you got to sit down and, okay, I see these as a young girl, she's giving me attention, but what's more important? My family being intact, my kids making sure that they have they see a good relationship between their father and mother. Obviously, my commitment and loyalty that I already told my wife. I think those are things that need to be said and explained a lot more to, especially a lot of the young men, because we're not animals, man. We're not animals out there, just going out there fucking everything. Right. But here's the thing. I don't try to shame men who are very successful and they like to have sex because it's primal. Because
sometimes too.
Because a lot of times I hear the guys on the bottom complaining about, how come he stepped out and tried to criticize him? I was like, my man, you're not on that level yet. It's easy for you to be at the bottom with your average wife to sit in your high horse and criticize Tiger Woods for his infidelities if you've never experienced it in your shoes. Because I promise you, if you had 5% of the attention Tiger Woods gets, or the types of women that he'd been with, you would do. I would say most guys would do the same thing, right? So I don't blame those guys who are very successful and they end up stepping out, because I know there's a biological reason for that. All I'm saying is we just gotta have carry ourselves and to be as men with higher standards. That's all that is. I know we have primal instincts. I know there's things within us, but I think with discipline and with hard work and with purpose, I think we can rise above that. And I think if we all do that as guys, I think the byproduct of that is we're going to raise a good, strong family. And I think with a good, strong family, that's going to be a better society to live in. Right? Because we see now like how America is with the breakdown of nuclear family. It's fucking crazy in America right now. It's crazy right now in America. We don't even know what men and women. We got pronouns. We got OnlyFans. That's what happens when you break down the family, man. But I think it benefits everybody if everybody is most don't say all, but most people in a good, healthy, strong relationship. But yeah, man, we've come to the end of the pod. Everybody that's watching right now, I see some of you guys still watching. Shout out to you guys right now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and shout out to Milagros. Shout out to Dark Knight. Thank you for taking the time and just jumping on and being part of a public guest on the live stream. I appreciate you guys, and everybody in the live chat. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have some comments, let me know on the comment before we get off the live. But Dark Knight, any last comments and final thoughts before we leave?
It's a cold world we live in.
Yeah,
It's cold.
Hey, yeah, man, and it's good to talk to you, man. I know it's been a while since you've jumped on the stream, or
Yeah, this might be the first time since the abortion one, or
yeah, the abortion one. Yeah, I remember.
a long time ago. Hey, I've been grinding. You've been grinding, so it's good to see you too, bro.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. That's good to see you grinding, man. Keep doing your thing. Okay. Thank you for your time, man. Thank you for jumping on and be part of the Mastermind for this Thursday. And everybody, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, Dark Knight. Peace. Peace, y'all. Peace.